We are here on the 15th of July in beautiful Los Angeles at UCLA, where it's a beautiful sunny day as usual. We're about to hear from Bonnie, who's going to share some emotion she had when she saw her film. She's standing before you, managing attention. She's writing, communicating respect non-verbally, saying to herself her mantra, I respect my audience, standing in a power stance, feet wider than her shoulders, managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center, say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi everyone, my name is Bonnie.
Hi Bonnie.
So Vladimir Nabokov, one of the greatest novelists of the 20th century and the author of the controversial masterpiece Lolita, once said in his lecture in Cornell University that in order to bask in that magic, a wise reader reads the book of a genius, not with his heart, not so much with his brain, but with his spine. The tingling sensation a reader derives from a great novel is similar to the emotional turbulence of viewer experiences when he or she watches a great movie. And about 3 weeks ago, I was fortunate enough to watch a movie that was so emotionally charged. Today, I'd like to share with you a film that really moved me inside out. It made me feel pessimistic, it made me feel optimistic, and it made me feel grateful. This film deals with a lot of significant themes that I know you can relate to. For just like the New York Times critic A.L. Stott said, this world is both radically new. You've never seen anything like it, and instantly recognizable. So the first way in which this film moved me was that it made me feel pessimistic. In the film, Riley is the main character, and she's a 6-year-old who has joy, sadness, anger, distrust, and fear in charge of her emotions. She moved from Minnesota to a new home and a new school in San Francisco. And she wasn't happy about moving to a new school because she didn't have any friend in San Francisco. And the worst part was, on the first day of class, she cries when she introduces herself to the whole class, and she says she misses Minnesota and her best friend there. So this incident made me feel pessimistic because I had an experience similar to Riley's. I grew up in China where public elementary and junior high schools would only take in a limited number of students each year. And for some reasons, I didn't get into a public elementary school. So when I went to junior high, I got into public school and I moved to a home closer to that school. I didn't know anybody there, but 90% of my classmates had already known each other because they all came from the same public elementary school. And I remember this incident very clearly, and it made me feel very uncomfortable. And it was that, so after class, boys and girls would go to a couple of boba shops to hang out in groups of their own. And because I didn't know anybody, I wasn't invited to any of those groups, and I didn't even know about those boba shops. So I would often find myself completely left alone in the classroom, and I had no one there to tell me which bus I should take to get home. So after the first day of class, I had to sit outside the school gate for like 3 or 4 hours because I didn't know how to go home, and my parents became very worried, and they drove over to pick me up. So when this happened, I regretted graduating from elementary school and felt pessimistic about my future in my junior high school. I felt like I couldn't go back to my past and to my former friends who all went to a private junior high because I didn't want my parents to pay very high tuition. But I also couldn't embrace the present and blend into my new class and to move forward to the future. So I felt like I felt very lost, and I feared that I would always be an outsider to my classmates. The second way in which this film moved me was that it made me feel optimistic. In the end, Riley and her parents communicate honestly to each other about their feelings about didn't want to move to a new place, and that the adjustment to a new environment was a toll on all of them. And the three of them hugged together because sadness unites the family together. This incident reminds me of a talk I had with my mom, and that made me feel optimistic. When I first went to junior high, she was trying to tell me about her divorce from my dad. I could tell that telling me about the divorce was very hard for her because she showed eye contact with me all the time. So I tried to assure her that I knew she and my dad made the right decision for the family, and that I knew they would always love me just the same. And I told her about my troubles at school and that I was getting along with my classmates better. So by being honest about my own emotions, I felt closer to my mom. And I also realized that everyone has a burden to carry, and what we can do for each other is affirm their emotions and be supportive. So, and I believe that we become more optimistic ourselves as we assure others that the future will be good and then cite evidence from our own experience. Because vocalizing that good things will happen has the power of making us believe so. And the third way in which this film moved me was that it made me feel grateful. And the incident that made me feel this way is a minor detail in the film. As the audience enters Riley's mom's head, they see that unlike Riley, who has joy in charge of her brain, mom has sadness in charge. However, Riley's mom doesn't seem sad, but very calm and considerate. And Riley's mom reminds me of my mom. About 10 years ago, she dyed her hair because she thought she didn't look lively enough. And then she said, looking grim and surprised that everyone pays for a girl. At that time, I felt sad for grown-ups who all gave up joyfulness for life experience and also for myself because I would have to do the same. After watching the film, I changed my mind. I realized that maybe life struggles put sadness in charge of my mom's brain, but that is exactly why she can give so much love and care to others. So I thought she is a very strong woman, and I felt thankful for her care, especially when she has her own problems to handle. I also realized that maturation won't cause us to lose anything. It is merely a choice between readiness and composure. And I believe that most of us chose composure because it is a more empowering thing. It allows us to see what we can do for each other and understand their emotions so that we can all grow stronger together. In summary, I have told you 3 ways in which this film moved me. It made me feel pessimistic, it made me feel optimistic, and it made me feel grateful. So Inside Out was not only a great movie, it was also a great adventure into my own emotions. There should be no doubt in this room that this film really moved me. Like a great novel, Inside Out gave me this tingling sensation on the top of my spine. The itch went up to my brain and woke up buried memories, and it went down to my heart and evoked deep emotions that allow me to gain insights and learn lessons from my memories. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's start in the rear with Noor.
Hi, I'm Noor.
Hi, Noor.
I really liked your speech because I felt that your emotions were really genuine and you conveyed them very well, and also your structure was really good.
Thank you. Good, thank you, Noor. Improvement?
Hi, I'm Min.
Hi, Min.
I thought you did really well. I would just say maybe speak a little bit louder, but you did really good.
Thank you.
Do you have goals here somewhere, or did you forget to
I
put
wrote
them?
them on the self-evaluation.
Self-evaluation, they're at the bottom. I see them now. Okay, good. I liked your speech an awful lot. You chose a movie that I happened to just see and really loved, and was really. If you think it's a child's movie, you're really wrong. It's of course written for children, but it also has some very fancy things to say to adults, as you very clearly pointed out to us. So you have to be good to see it. Well, I love your Nabokov quote from Lolita, no less. And it was so appropriate about what you were trying to do about feeling not in the heart, not so much in the brain, but in the spine, And that was sort of a real interesting, different way to express. Heinlein expressed this: when you really get a book, you grok it. I don't know if you've ever heard that expression, have you? G-R-O-K. It's a new word he made up to really deeply understanding and feeling a novel. You grok it, So it was a good intro and a good segue into your thesis, which was lost, optimistic, and grateful, which you changed a little bit. You changed the wording, and you kept it that way. Your New York Times quote was fine, good. I wish you had said you had agreed or disagreed with it. Remember, we want to say whether we agreed or disagreed with it.
Yeah.
And then on your first thing about sadness, what was the time, by the way? It was pretty long, wasn't it?
6:33.
6 what?
33.
6:33. Okay. A little long, and I think you could have picked up the time on your plot summaries. You could have cut that down. Let me say what I thought about. You gave us a real detailed thing of what happened to you in elementary school, and the kids went out for boba and left you alone and left you sitting at the bus stop for 4 hours, and we could feel your pain, and that couldn't have been very pleasant, and you were worried about your parents having to pay tuition again. That was all well communicated. You have a tendency, Bonnie, and just watch this when you're communicating your emotions, because you're real smart, and you want to intellectualize a little on your emotions as you're describing them, and you just go with the pure feelings of them, and don't so much intellectualize them so much. Do you know what I mean? Because you're good at describing the feelings, but then you intellectualize them a little. On optimistic, you told us about the story of your mom and her divorce, and you told her that you opened up and shared your problems, and it was a great coming together, and you liked that, and that was good. One thing, by the way, folks, if you're having a doubt of when you're sharing your emotions, if you return to the word of your emotion at the end of the paragraph and say, and that's why I felt so optimistic, and this sharing with my mother made me feel optimistic, then we'll really get it for sure. Okay? On your third emotion, grateful, you talked about your mother dyeing her hair, right? Was that one of the things you talked about? And this is where I thought you were more, heady than emotional, and I would have liked to have had. It's hard to communicate gratefulness, but I kind of got it through the words. But remember, what's felt sensing? Tell me what felt sensing is.
I think so. When you give the speech, you imagine you're reliving that experience.
You relive it. You remember the feeling you had back then. You relive it. You feel it now, and we feel it. And that's what I wanted you to do. Your summary was good. Your conclusion was excellent. Your tie back to Nabokov, to the spine, was excellent. You could be louder and more emphatic and interesting to listen to. I would work on that. Let's see what you set as your goals. Speak more and emphasize key words by changing the loudness and pitch. Aha. And loosen my body up a bit. How'd it go?
I think the second one went better than last time. And
Yes.
So this time I remember to walk 3 times.
Yes, you did. And the camera actually followed you.
I tried to emphasize keywords a little bit, but I realized that when I watch myself on YouTube, I hear myself differently than when I'm giving the speech.
Yes.
So, I realized that in the camera I'm less emphatic than I thought I was.
Yeah, and Bonnie, it's not just to be emphatic in speeches, but practice it in your everyday life. When you talk to a friend, say, I don't want to go to, what's the name of this pizza joint in Westwood? Name one for me.
California Pizza Kitchen.
What? Oh, I don't want to go to California Pizza Kitchen. Not just I don't want to go to California Pizza Kitchen. Practice working on, an emphatic style of speaking in your everyday life, and then it will come more naturally in your speeches. Okay? You did a really excellent job, Bonnie, except for going overtime. Thank you. Okay?
Can I go next?
Yes, you can. It's a free country. People are dying in Iraq, so you have freedom and liberty. Okay, wow, you're tall. Okay. So I'll have to adjust the camera. La 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 la. I hope it doesn't tip over. Come on, Betsy. Stay there. Okay, we're good. Can you move just a little bit more to the center? Yeah. And don't be so cleave so much to the wall you look like you're afraid of the audience. Yeah. There we go. Okay, he stands before you, ready to communicate 3 of his emotions about a film he's seen. That is Fernando. He's managing attention. He's saying his mantra to himself that he really means, I respect my audience. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. Feel the love. Start your speech.
70% of long-distance relationships fail. This is a statistic by the psychology website Statistics Brain. Long-distance relationships. This is a type of relationship that I think most people here have experienced. Whether it's a sibling, lover, best friend, or anyone who you've become close to, the pain of watching them move away is nearly unmatched. This is what the film 5 centimeters per second deals with. Hi everyone, my name is Fernando, and today I'm going to talk to you about a film that really moved me, 5 centimeters per second. The film made me feel regret, it made me feel happy, it made me feel nostalgia, and it made me feel despair. The film talks about 2 childhood friends, Takagi and Akari, that share a long-distance relationship, but inevitably grow apart over the course of their lives. A critic from The Outer Haven describes the film as a humbling tale and reminder that life is what it is, and sometimes things don't go the way we plan. I completely agree with this statement. I think it impeccably characterizes the movie and the emotions felt while watching it. The first way this film made me feel was it made me feel regret. The incident in the film that made me feel regret was when Takagi and Akari try their hardest to maintain communication after having been separated. One of the very first scenes in the movie shows the chain of letters that these 2 childhood friends have sent each other. This made me feel regret because it reminded me of my lack of effort and my failure to keep in touch with my friends from Spain. I moved away from Barcelona when I was 9, and when I go back there for the holidays, I barely have anyone to meet up with. And on the occasion that I do end up meeting up with someone, it's either someone from my current school visiting the city, or one of my Spanish friends from my boarding school. Rarely do I ever meet up with someone from my Spanish friends from my elementary school. Having moved schools 3 times, it can be very hard to stay in touch with everyone you care about. However, the film did make me feel like I could have tried harder to maintain communication. The second way this film moved me was it made me feel nostalgia. The event in the film that made me feel nostalgia was when Takagi moves to a new school, and a girl at this new school, Kanai, falls in love with him. Watching Kanai develop feelings and develop confidence to confess her feelings for Takagi was very endearing. However, she got rejected. And at first this made me feel sadness, but when Takagi explained that he still had feelings for his childhood friend Akari, it made me feel nostalgia. This is because it reminded me of when I moved away from boarding school to high school and I left my best friend behind. I remember that the very first year of high school, I thought of my best friend nearly every day. However, as time passed, our close bond deteriorated. This made me feel nostalgia because I miss this close bond that we used to have. The final way that this film moved me was that it made me feel despair. The incident in the film that made me feel despair was at the very end of the film when Takagi and Akari have gone their separate ways. The very last scene shows how Takagi and Akari pass by and recognize each other at a train crossing. On opposite sides of the tracks, they begin to turn around. But before they can even catch a glimpse of each other, a train cuts off their view. This made me feel despair because it reminded me of all my long-distance friendships and how the passage of time has deteriorated them. It also made me aware that this process of deterioration is almost inevitable, even if both parties try their hardest to stay in touch, like Takagi and Akari did. So in summary, I have told you 3 ways in which this film moved me. It made me feel regret, it made me feel nostalgia, and it made me feel despair. This film doesn't need extravagant characters, crazy action scenes, or a cliche love story in order to convey its message. In fact, the characters are ordinary, and the story is no more fantastic than the lives that we all live. There is no happy ending. It is, as the critic from the Outer Havens said, this story is realistic and a reminder that life isn't perfect, because after all, 70% of long-distance relationships fail. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, here, thank you.
Nick,
Hi, Nick.
I think you speak really confidently and you have a really good pitch to your
Thank you, Nick. Improvement?
Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
I thought it was really good. Some improvements. I guess maybe vary your pitch more, so you have like more emphasis on certain things.
Yeah.
That would be it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Jenny. Well, Fernando, I applaud you in not doing Gone in 60 Seconds or some of the other crap that passes for movies these days. And you chose a story, a film that tells a story, a real story, about human beings and emotions that we feel when we're close to people and then we split apart. And you as a boarding school kid, sorry about that, a boarding school kid must face it even more. I've had students that were what I call military brats, and they, when their parents were stationed and moved around, faced this too, you know. They lost friends. You started with an arresting fact: about 20% of long-distance relationships fail. And that was good. And you tied back to that in the end. And I think, that worked nicely as a kind of a grabber, and was you had an interesting segue. And you didn't start with your name, you started with the arresting fact, and then you segued into your name, and then into the film title, and then gave us the preview, and that was perfectly fine. Your significant statement, and you segued into your film review, was good. I wish you would have said something about I agree or I disagree a little bit stronger than you did about the review. Remember, I said I want you to respond to the review a little bit, okay? So, let's go to the meat of your speech. And here's where I think I can help you a little bit. Your first emotion that you tried to communicate was regret, right? And you talked about you left Barcelona when you were 9, and when you return, you do not hook up with the people that you knew in Barcelona. You don't meet them, you don't see them, and you feel regret about that. What I'd like more from you is more of your felt sensing. I would like you to more say, for example, I had a really close friend named Jose we used to go to the movies all the time, and la-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da. And I really wonder what's happened to him, and I would really like to see him again, but darn, I don't know how to get back with him and get in touch with him and return to that emotion and say, and that's why I'm just feeling so regretful that I've lost touch with those people in my early life from Barcelona, see? So elaborate and give us more details and feel the feeling more and felt sense it more, and then bring it out to us. Okay. Nostalgia is a tricky feeling to communicate. But you did a pretty good job. You told us the story. What was the time, by the way? 4:31, so you were in good shape with the time. You told us of the rejection, and then you told us about the same when you left, again, another friend at boarding school that you left behind, and you felt sad about it. And again, I would have liked to have had, it would have been realer if there was a name and some things you shared and some distance and that sort of thing. And you returned to the emotion you said, and that's why I felt nostalgic. And then finally, on the third emotion, despair. That's despair. Despair is when your parents both die, and you don't have any source of income. What am I going to do? How am I going to live? How am I going to support myself? That's a big emotion you chose to talk about here, and I didn't get despair really. You showed a strong emotion, and what you said, all you said was, I just have realized that all my long distance relationships are basically gone and cut off. And this makes me feel despair, right? And that was what you communicated. And I would have liked you to have returned to the emotion. Your summary, your conclusion, and tie back were wonderful and very cleverly done and nice. You said for your canais, you wanted to make 3 to 5 seconds of eye contact. You wanted to vary your tone. And you wanted to have hand gestures outside the box. How did it go, Fernando?
Well, I think that the eye contact went pretty well. At the beginning, it was not so good, but during the main body was better.
Good.
I think that I could have varied my tone a bit more, and I think that would have helped me also communicate emotion better.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sure about the gestures. I tried, but
yeah.
I didn't really think of it too much during this.
Okay. Something that will help you. Have you ever heard of the Chinese exercise Tai Chi?
Yeah.
You might want to try doing a little Tai Chi so you get a little more mind-body awareness, so you're aware of what your body's doing while you're speaking. Because you're not really aware of what your hands are doing and how you're moving and that sort of thing. I'm not joking around. I'm real serious about that. I would say the most important thing, though, that I saw that I'd like you to see more work on is a stronger ability to communicate emotion and really re-feel them more and communicate them more strongly. Okay?
Okay.
Good job. Thank you. Do we have more volunteers?
No, I was volunteering.
Great. Okay, come on down. Lockheed Aircraft, come on down.
But I changed my quotes. Just
Okay. I'm flexible. I'm an American. Okay, Nor stands before you managing attention. Wait, I've got to focus on you. Thank you for... I'm here writing. She's managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi everyone, I'm Noor.
Hi, Nor.
So, it is a truth universally acknowledged that every man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. This is the first line from the classic novel Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. So today I want to tell you about a film that moved me, of the same name, Pride and Prejudice, and it's directed by Joe Wright, and it was released in 2005. This is relevant because there were many different kind of versions that were made over time. I'm looking at the one that was starring Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden. So I want to tell you about 3 ways that this film moved me. Firstly, this film made me feel
Hopeful.
and it made me feel inspired, and it made me feel grateful. Pride and Prejudice is a story of a woman who is humble, comes from a humble background. Her name is Elizabeth Bennet, and her love affair with a rich and pompous Mr. Darcy. So Peter Travers of the Rolling Stones called the movie a youthful spin on classic novel without compromising its 18th century manners. And I agree with this because although the novel, I read the book and the book kind of bored me slightly, only because it was very long and very difficult to read, but the movie became one of my favorite movies ever.
Good.
So, the first way that this film moved me is that it made me feel hopeful. The reason the film made me feel hopeful, or the incident in the movie that made me feel hopeful, is the relationship between Elizabeth and Darcy. This is because, although they're very different and they came from different backgrounds, they ended up working things out and becoming, in the end, became married. So, the reason I related to this incident is because I'm dating someone in Cairo. His name is Omar. And I believe that my family wouldn't really accept us to be dating at the moment. He was born and raised in California, and he leads a lifestyle that's quite different from mine. And I'm not sure that our relationship would be accepted. So, although I know these things, the film made me feel hopeful because in the end, Darcy and Elizabeth managed to kind of overcome their attitudes, overcome their kind of different social backgrounds, and overcome all these obstacles, and they ended up together. So I want to believe that this could happen too. The second feeling that this film evoked in me is that it made me feel grateful. Actually, I want to talk about the fact that it made me feel inspired first. The reason the film made me feel inspired is because there's a scene in the movie where Elizabeth kind of walks from her home to this home that's very far away in a place called Derbyshire, and she walks and she becomes very messy and unkempt in the process, and this wasn't very proper of a woman to do at the time. And I found this inspiring because I found that although she wasn't allowed to do these things technically in terms of social conventions, she did anyway, and she was kind of breaking the status quo. So the reason this made me feel inspired is I began kind of leading a similar lifestyle, and I began kind of following this mantra that she used throughout the film. So a year ago or so, I applied to go to this kind of charity institution. It's called Habitat for Humanity, and we're supposed to build homes for people. And my parents weren't very happy about this because they assumed that this is something that boys should do or men should do because it's a very difficult kind of labor-induced kind of charity task. And so we went to a small village in the Golan Heights, which are mountains that kind of border Syria and Jordan as well. So, and we built a home, and we did a lot of kind of labor, tasks, and it was very difficult, but at the same time I learned a lot, and I was very proud of myself that I did it. And although my parents didn't agree because I'm a female and I shouldn't be doing, these things, etc., but it did make me feel inspired, and I did end up doing it, and we did end up building a small home for family, and it was very, kind of made me feel very proud of myself. So the third way that this film moved me is that it made me feel grateful. The reason this film made me feel grateful is because there's a scene in the movie where the Bennett sisters are sitting with their cousin who's to inherit all their money, and their mother can only think of them she wants them to get married, she wants them to get husbands, she wants them to be secure. And the reason this made me feel grateful is because of, I guess, modern times, my family is not the same. And I'm allowed to travel very far distances and do kind of things that I want to do, and there's no pressure from my family for me to do anything that I don't want to. So, for example, they allowed me to travel from Cairo to Los Angeles and spend the summer here on my own, and they don't kind of impose anything on me that I don't want to do, which is very contrary to Elizabeth Bennet's life. So, in summary, I told you 3 ways that this film moved me. It made me feel grateful, it made me feel inspired, and it made me feel hopeful. So,
there should be no doubt in this room.
Yeah, in conclusion, Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy's relationship taught me a lot, as well as all the social conventions that she had to go through in order for them to end up together. So, and there can be no doubt that this film moved me. So it is true, yes, that a man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife, but I'd like to believe that this is just as true for women today as it is for men.
Thank you. Okay. Where are we? Here, yes.
Hey everyone, I'm Nikki.
Hi, Nikki. Nice loud speech voice, please.
I thought that your storytelling was really good, that it was easy to follow, and you have some good detail in there, so I thought your story's really interesting.
Improvement?
Hi, I'm Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
Your eye contact would have been better, but I really like your speech too.
Hey, Nora. Yeah. Let's start with the hair in your face. I'd like you to wear a bungee cord or keep it behind your ears so that we can see your face and have more facial expression. You have a very expressive face, and that's part of the communication process. So when you come to speak in a group, put your hair back so you look, professional and not, like you just got out of bed. I liked your introduction. It was interesting, and yet at the same time a little contradictory from your speech, but I'll talk about that in the end. But yeah, that's how the novel starts. A single man and a good fortune wants a good wife. And, this is, a sort of a truism, and you tie back to saying, and a good woman wants a good husband, and I think that's true today still. I think people want to find a good person to share their life with, although the kinds of things you talk about in your main body, you better find a man that allows you to be an independent woman and give you space and freedom and not have to be a subservient wife, as is true in some parts of the culture you come from, right? So I'd be careful about that, because I don't think you're going to be very happy being subservient to a man, right? Yeah, so watch out. Okay, so now let's go to your thesis preview. I didn't need all this stuff about the version and the Keira Knightley, but we got it anyway, and that was okay. What was the time?
6 minutes.
6 minutes. So you're a minute over, so could have cut that out. Hopeful, inspired, and grateful. Sixth statement was good. I like that you had a good quote from The Guardian, good paper, and you said I agreed, and that was so. Finally, somebody said they agreed with their quote, and thank you for that. That was good. So let's talk about your emotions. Hopeful. You didn't give us much detail, but basically you set it up that there was prejudice in the story about the two getting together, and you worried that there was prejudice about the current man that you're seeing from both of your families or one of your families, and yet you're hopeful that from this story that things will work out. And so that was pretty good. I would like you to have returned to that and say, I'm real hopeful in the very end of your statement. But besides hopeful, I felt inspired. So you had a running narrative of your feelings as you're going through this. Let's talk about your inspired. You talked about she was messy and all this stuff, and then you told us your story where you chose a non-traditional thing to do. Habitat for Humanity. Imagine that. Building a house in the Golan Heights, which is a very admirable thing to do. And women are doing all kinds of things that before they weren't allowed to do or weren't supposed to do. And, it's up to you to do what you think you can do and transcend. And, your parents may think, I don't know what your parents think you're supposed to be doing, but it's not an engineer and not doing man's work, right? Yeah, that's sort of it. But you proved them wrong. You also didn't mention, but you alluded to in your paper here, a boxing class.
Yeah, I
And
did
so,
mention-
so I see a lot of things that you're moving toward that are more independent. So that's good. I would again say return to the emotion, and this is why the story has inspired me, and I felt inspired. I felt inspired after I built this house and saw the look on the people's faces when we turned over the key to them. And they were so happy they had their first house and da 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 da. I'm grateful. Yeah. You talked about your story was you're grateful that your parents give you space to travel to California, to let you make some big choices and not put so much pressure the way a lot of traditional families do. And you're very lucky. Same thing. Return to the grateful. Just say how grateful you are to your parents for giving you space and trusting you to be responsible and that sort of thing. Your summary was fine. Your conclusion was good. And your tie back was good. As I said, I'm a little troubled by your, all I want is a husband. Given the rest of your speech was, you're more headed toward being more of an independent woman, and a husband is just something that may come along for the ride with you, right? Right, okay. Thank you. Yes, you can. It's a free country. People are dying in Afghanistan, so you have freedom and liberty. I'm going to have to staple Nora's papers together.
I also use that for article.
Say it again.
Can I use the stapler for
Yeah.
easy?
That was a present from a student. Isn't it pretty?
Yeah.
She got tired of me whining about not having a stapler. Okay, I got to adjust the camera for you, Sharon. Sharon stands before us managing attention, about to communicate 3 strong emotions that she felt from her film. She says her mantra, I respect my audience. She says her name, she feels the love, she starts her speech.
Hello, I'm Sharon.
Hi,
I love
Sharon.
watching movies, but Big Hero 6 is one of my recent favorites. This is a bright, visually sumptuous computer animated movie that has gave me an emotional workout. Don't we all love movies that are suspenseful, action-packed, drama-filled, and funny? Well, Big Hero 6 has all these elements. This movie has many relatable scenes, and it's made me feel encouraged, nervous, and sad. According to Examiner.com, Jeff Beck critiques, Big Hero 6 is exciting, and it's action-packed adventure that is filled with plenty of heart that is good for children and adults to find entertaining. The plot of this movie is about a little boy named Hero. His interest is in building robots, and he participates in illegal robot fighting. And he has an older brother named Tadashi who goes to college and uses his skill for a good use. Tadashi also encourages him to go to college and to put his skill into good use too. So the first way that this film has made me feel was encouraged. So in the movie, Hero had to present an idea to the technology college. And he was super, super excited, but he couldn't come up with an idea. So after many drafts, he became frustrated, discouraged, and he wanted to give up. But his brother came in to encourage him and told him that he's not going to give up on him, and he wants him to persevere. So after that, Hero came up with the most brilliant idea, and he worked very hard on his project. This reminded me of a time after swim season, and my coaches were giving out awards to the swimmers, and I thought I would get an award because I was one of the fastest swimmers, but I didn't get an award, but it kind of disappointed me. But my parents were there to encourage me and told me to persevere next season so that I could impress the coaches not just by my speed, but by my attitude, work ethics, and team spirit. I appreciate my parents for being there because they're always there to encourage me in whatever I do. The second way that this film has moved me was it made me feel nervous. In the movie, Hero had to give a speech to a group of audience, and he was very nervous and had major stage fright. But once the audience showed attention and interest, Hero began to relax, and when he relaxed, he began to speak with confidence and clarity. This reminded me of a time when I was in middle school, and I went to a middle school that focused on performing arts, so we had many dances during the year. And I was assigned one of the lead choreographing part for our Bollywood dance, and I was very nervous during the performance, but after my movement, I began to relax and my dance went smoothly, so I began to have confidence in what I had practiced. The third way that this film has moved me was that it made me feel sad. So, in the movie, Hero's older brother, Tadashi, dies in a fire accident and his aunt takes care of him afterwards. His parents were not mentioned in the movie, so I also assume that they also passed away, and so this reminds me of this incident that happened 2 weeks ago. My friend's father passed away from a heart attack, and this was very sudden for me, but especially tragic for my friend Jared. During the funeral, my friend Jared said that he wished that he took his father's presence for granted. He wished he didn't take his father's presence for granted, and he wished that he had a better attitude when receiving his father's advice, and he said now it's too late. This broke my heart because people's lives can disappear in a blink of an eye. And so I learned that we should take people's lives for granted and we should appreciate them whenever they're around us. So now I told you 3 different things about this movie that has touched me. It made me feel encouraged, it made me feel nervous, and it made me feel sad. I agree to Jeff Beck because this movie has many relatable scenes that is relatable for children and adults to find that they can relate to their personal life. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Where are we? Here.
Hi, I'm Hans.
Hi, Hans.
I think you have done a good job, and you finished the speech very fluently, and you provided 3 stories that feel
Thank you, Hans. Yes?
I'm Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie.
I think David heard the speech and is very fluent, but I think maybe, because this is also something I noticed in myself, maybe you can change your tone a little bit when you're talking about your emotions, so they will seem stronger.
Yeah. When you watch yourself, Sharon, you'll see what she means, because it was all kind of the same, and you would be stronger if you relived and refelt the emotions. Big Hero 6. Okay, good. You sort of gave us a little plot summary. What was the time, by the way? 4:49. So you were within the time frame, and you told us, you gave us a review. I don't remember you saying whether you agreed or disagreed, did you?
At the end, I said.
You finally said it. Okay, good. And then you gave us kind of a plot summary, and I suppose you felt that was necessary so your audience kind of knew what was going on. I'm not so sure it was, but that's okay. So we finally got, after a while, we got to the meat of the speech, right? Wait a minute, I've lost you a little bit. Okay. So the first emotion that you wanted to communicate was encouragement. And that's kind of a tricky emotion, encouragement, and I know just being discouraged, I get that emotion. I felt encouraged. And so I guess you set it up by telling us the story of you were a fast swimmer, and one of the fastest, and you expected an award, and much to your surprise, no award. And we've all had these experiences where we weren't acknowledged for our work and our excellence or whatever, and we just have to carry on. And yet you told us your parents came through, and that was very similar to the girl in the movie where her mother came through after she was rejected by the Nevada Ballet and said you were great, even though they rejected you. And your parents encouraged you after you were discouraged. And so I would have liked you to have said more of, I was really discouraged when I didn't get that award. I felt really down. I was just, wow. You said I felt disappointed. I would have gone into it more and remembered how bummed you were, right? And sense it more. And then give us the resolution of your disappointment with your encouragement from your parents. Your second emotion had to do with this nervousness, right? This feeling of nervousness, and you talked about being in middle school and being a dancer in a Bollywood production. And you were nervous, and you were scared, but you started, and you came through it, and you got through it, and things were good, and you had confidence because you got through it. So you relived that for us. That was pretty good. So you gave us that feeling of not confident coming to confidence. So that was pretty good. Your final feeling was with your friend's father, Jared, and again, folks, the more details you can put in a story, it makes it real. His father passed away, and he said, I wish I had did not take my dad's presence for granted. I wish I didn't give him such a bad attitude when he was giving me advice. Now it's too late. And yeah, this is a very poignant thing to share. I will share something with you. When I was I was with the debating team in New York City, when my wife called me and said that my father had a heart attack and died. And just before I left for New York, my father and I had a big argument about the Vietnam War. And we weren't speaking to each other. And I really regret being that silly and stupid of being so hard, nasty to him. The last thing I said to him was, I don't want to talk to you anymore. It's the last thing I said to my father. And now I have only a gravestone to apologize to. And it's not the same thing, right? Gravestones don't answer back, And so you're so right. You need to tell the people you love them and you care while they're here, because people can be gone in an instant, and they are. So this was a good story. And that was well told, and I liked that a lot. So you gave us the three emotions. What I didn't really get was a particularly fabulous tie back to what your intro was, because how would you classify your introduction as? Was it a poem, a quote, a story, a joke? What was it? Was it kind of a what would you call it? I just saw you just kind of launching into the speech, right? So next time, Sharon, let's try to have a poem, a quote, a story, a joke. You saw the Nabokov way, the quote, or the quote from the actual book, Pride and Prejudice,
Yeah.
and you saw how that worked as bookends and a better tie back. Let's look at your goals. Are they here?
Yeah.
Don't say move around. Speak slowly and calmly. How'd it go?
I think I said less I'm not sure. But I think I rushed a little bit. I was a bit nervous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think it was better. I think the comments that people made to you you should take to heart about being careful not to be little over memorized. Keep it in the extemporaneous realm where you're kind of searching for words and not so it's so memorized that it seems like you're just spewing it out as if you memorized it, because that loses the interest of the audience. And work a little bit more on your intro and tiebacks, and work a little bit more on felt sensing, so you really relive the emotion more and share it. Thank you very much. Good job.
May I go next?
Yes, you can. Americans are dying in Afghanistan, so you have liberty. Okay. Just a moment, Grace. Just a moment, I need to get out my trusty stapler. Oh boy, you're tall. Don't cleave the wall all the chest. Oh, I'll really have to. Oh my God.
Can you zoom out?
What?
Can you zoom out? Or is it?
Yeah, let's try that first, so it won't tip over. Yeah. Hans stands before you, managing attention, prepared to communicate 3 emotions that he felt during his speech. He's finding friendly eyes near the front and center. He'll say his name, feel the love, and start his speech.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Hans.
Hi, Hans.
Have you ever done an IQ test like Min did? How do you think a person with an IQ of 75 will be like when the average score is around 100? Kids in special school, lamentable, abnormal, stupid, fool, idiot. That's how people might feel about it. Forrest Gump is a person with an IQ of only 75, but he won a championship of college football and world-class table tennis. He was also a gazillionaire and was awarded a Medal of Honor by the President of the United States. How did a fool achieve those? Today, I want to share with you this film that really moved me, Forrest Gump. It made me sad, it made me regret, and it inspired me. This film deals with some significant themes that I know you will be interested in. Family, love, success. You can find kind of an answer for all your problems in this movie. Any attempt to describe him will risk making this film seem more conventional than it is, said Roger Ebert, who is the only film critic with a star on Hollywood Boulevard Walk of Fame. Although I totally agree with him, I will try to give you an image and share with you 3 things that are stuck in my mind. The first way this film moved me was that it made me sad. When Forrest's mom was about to die, she said to Forrest on her bed, "It was just my time." She told Forrest that she was destined to be his mom, and now Forrest needed to figure out what is his own destiny from now on, because there will be no mom. I feel sad because it reminds me of when I was once back in my hometown where my grandpa and grandma lived. I did not know what to talk to them because we have so different lifestyles. So most of the time I just sit there watching the old TV or reading my own books while they were cooking or cleaning. When I was about to leave, I gave my grandpa a hug. When I realized how white his hair is and how many wrinkles and scars are there on his face, I thought about their care these years without any complaint. And I thought of him saying that he had got a new farmland as his own graveyard. I almost couldn't help holding my tears, so I hugged him so tight that he would not notice. I controlled myself and said some regular words like, "Take care," and I left. When I watch this film, I feel sympathized. My grandpa and grandma want me to go into a great university, and I want them to be proud of me, so I follow them. I get into a great university with full scholarship, and that makes them proud. But now I need to figure out what should I do, what's my own destiny in the future. For myself, Forrest tells me that you must be independent because there's no one that you can always count on. The second way that this film moved me was that it made me feel regret. Jenny is the girl who gave seats to Forrest on the school bus and is the best friend of Forrest. Jenny has left Forrest several times for traveling around, but Forrest always loved her. When Jenny came back after she had a rare disease, Forrest was more than happy, and they seemed to go back to the happy childhood times. However, after they had sex, Jenny left again without Forrest notice. When Forrest found out that Jenny is gone on the next morning, he fell into silence. Then he started running, of which he is most capable, and he kept running for 3 years. Jenny saw him on the TV when a reporter reported him, so Jenny sent him a letter which made them finally gather. The reason why it made me feel regret was because I've also once lost myself for a long time when when the girl I loved left me, just like Jenny left Forrest. For some reason, she ignored my messages. I cannot go and find her. So I lost hope and escaped from the world by playing computer games all day long for more than 1 month. And after the summer vacation ended, I became solitary and not talking to people for 6 months. After watching what Forrest has done, I feel so regret. I was such a coward trying to escape. I should have sitting in a room and playing computer games and not talking to people give no solution. I should have stayed strong, talk to the world by going outside my room. This film taught me that never lose hope. Go out to see the world and it will be fine. The third way that this film moved me was that it inspired me. Forrest only did one thing at a time and did it well. Football, military service, ping pong, shrink boat. His secret of success is focus. By focusing on one thing at a time, he can practice a lot and master a skill. Nowadays, lots of people are trying to be too clever by doing many things simultaneously, including myself. I love new things, so I'm so ambitious that I want to master them all in one semester. I started learning German, programming, contract bridge, 3D printing, plus my own studies together. It turned out that I just don't have the ability to do them well together. And in the end, I can't say that I even mastered one of these things. Forrest inspired me by showing me how important focus is. I admitted that there are many temptations nowadays, so it is difficult to stay simple. But try to focus and you will know how it benefits. In summary, I have told you 3 ways that this film has moved me. It made me sad, it made me regret, and it inspired me. I recommend you this film because no matter who you are, you can find part of yourself on Mr. Gump. He is as ordinary as us, but inside there is greatness. In the army, when Forrest told his sergeant that he was in the army to follow the instructions, the sergeant said, "You must have a goddamn IQ of 160. 75, 160. Huh? He is no longer the fool he used to be. And he tells us that sometimes stupid is the new smart." Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Where are we? We're here. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Joseph.
Hi, Joseph.
You did a good job. I like you.
What?
You did a good job. I like your. Before every story, you tell us about the plot of the movie. It's very touching, and you follow the instruction very well. I listen. It's very easy to follow. I can tell the certain points.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to follow directions. Follow the prompt exactly, yeah. Thank you, Joseph. Improvement?
Hi, I'm Brittany.
Hi, Brittany.
Maybe you can show a little bit more eye contact throughout your speech.
Okay. Well, let's start with that. Where were you looking when you were speaking?
Actually, I'm looking at in the air.
Looking what?
At the air.
At the air. All I need is the air that I breathe. What are you, an actor? Actors look above the audience, right?
Because I feel nervous when I look into somebody's eyes, and if like he or she shows some unexpected impression, then I will feel nervous. And
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, we're going to change that in you this morning. So let's start. I want you to tell us about your morning, and for 3 to 5 seconds, I want you to start by staring at Brittany and tell us about your morning. You got up and then come to this sweet young lady and then here. And no blinking. And just make 3 to 5 seconds of eye contact. And if you blink or look up in the air, I'll start the clock over again. Okay, begin with Brittany.
Okay, because today is 15th of July, so today is Amazon's Prime Day. So last night, last night I didn't sleep until 12 to see what deals they provided, and I feel so disappointed that I didn't see the things I wanted to buy. So I decided to sleep and get up. I usually get up at 7:30, but today because I sleep late, so I get up at 8:30, and I get up to check the deals. I feel disappointed again.
Okay. Did you feel the difference in looking at people in their eyes?
Not exactly.
Well, that's what you need to do, because what Brittany was relating to is a person, when you go to interview for a job, if you don't look your employer in the eye, he's not going to hire you. He's going to think you're shifty. And when you look at an audience in the eye, it's a way to make connections and contacts. And when you don't look at them, they don't think you're talking to them, but at them. Okay? So, eye contact. Let me talk to you about your speech. It was very good, very insightful. You're very wise about a very good film, and you got a lot out of the film, and you extracted more than most people got out of the movie, and you got many of the main themes that the author was trying to communicate. Primarily, his first theme was IQ is not everything. In fact, it's hardly anything. The world is full of bright geniuses that are failures because they're lazy or they're maladjusted to the world, etc., etc., etc. The world is also full of average people that have worked their asses off and have gotten somewhere, right? So, with, as you put it, focus on something and going for it. So, you got that message, and you got the message that even somebody with an IQ of 73, there is hope. And clearly that's what this screenwriter was trying to communicate and did in a very clever way. So, your thesis preview was fine. Your SIG statement was excellent. I like the little detail about Roger Ebert having the only star on Hollywood Boulevard. That was a nice little factoid that helped enhance your credibility. And you said you agreed with him. That was excellent. Now, you started with sad, and you told us the story of Forrest's mother dying. And then you shared with us the idea of your grandparents. I don't know if they died or they were dying or they were getting old. And you and your grandfather said some things like, I got a new farmland as his graveyard. And you sort of said, take care, and you wanted to hug them longer, but you didn't. And you had really vivid imagery, good word pictures. I felt I was there in the room with your grandparents. It was excellent storytelling. What I would have liked what happened at the end of your story, though, is you went off into, I got a scholarship to make them proud, and went off into all this stuff instead of returning to the emotion you were trying to communicate, which was sadness. So, and that's why I felt so sad. Keep your eye on the prize. You were trying to communicate emotions here. Okay? On your second emotion, regret, you talked about Forrest and his love for Jenny, who had a rare disease. I don't know how rare AIDS was, but I guess it was rare at the time.
It didn't suggest this AIDS.
What?
It didn't suggest this AIDS.
Yeah, just implied. Okay, good. Whatever. Yeah. And you segued into your love affair that went sour, and your girlfriend dumped you, and you didn't know how to deal with it, so you, like a wounded animal, played video games and isolated yourself for 6 months or 3 months or something, which is an understandable way to go. It was very real and a good storytelling. You know, it's the way young lovers sometimes deal with their hurt. They keep busy doing something else so they don't have to feel what they're feeling. So the breakup was good, but then you tied that back to Forrest Gump and said, I feel so regretful that I didn't go out and get back into the swing of things and run and do like Forrest Gump did and that sort of thing. So that was good. On your inspired, you talked about the fact that he mastered things by doing one thing at a time and by focusing. And you talked about the fact that you are trying to do too much. You're trying to do German programming, contact bridge, 3D printing, and whatever else, and you're becoming a dilettante. A master of nothing, right? And I thought that was very honest of you to say that you're taking on too much and that you need to, focus on fewer things, and I thought that was pretty good. But again, return to, and that's why Forrest inspired me to focus. Return to the emotion you're communicating. Keep your eye on what you're doing here. You're communicating emotion. Return to the frustration you felt when you took on too much stuff. Okay? And I'm inspired to focus. Okay? Your summary was good, your conclusion was good, and your tie back was really clever because of the 160 IQ and the sergeant and the 75 is the new smart. It was very clever and well done, really smart and good. Your canais were to keep up the good work. I don't know what that means. Effective introduction and tie back, and express emotions. How'd it go?
By saying keep up the good work, I think last time I did quite okay, so
yeah.
I want to keep up the good work.
Yeah, well, one thing I like about what you're doing is you're following the prompt exactly, and you're not, going off on the stream of consciousness as you did in your first speech. And I like that. You're following directions. That's good, yeah. What about in your introduction and tie back were good? Yeah. And what about expressing emotions? You feel you really got them out?
Because this is like my first time trying to tell my very personal stories to the audience. So I myself, I feel like I'm expressing the emotions, but I'm not sure whether the audience
felt them.
Yeah.
And the way to know it is, remember, it's one of the big ones of the success, of the acronym success. Remember the E in success is emotion, right? Yeah. And one of the ways is you feel it and re-feel it. Feel that hurt that you felt. What was you didn't tell us what your girlfriend's name that dumped you. What was her name? Betty?
I don't
Just
know.
give her a name.
Cloud.
Cloud? Her name was Cloud? Cloud, okay, good. What I'm saying is, you don't have to say her exact name if you want to let her remain anonymous, but give her a name, because details help make the story real. I was dating a girl named Cloud, and she dumped me and wouldn't return my calls, and I was devastated, see? Yeah. And then re-feel how you felt then. Yeah. Okay. Nice job. Thank you. You're volunteering. Okay, good. Yeah, I need the time. What was the time? 7:46. Now that was way over time. You need to edit. Edit. Hang on just a minute. Wait just a minute, Brittany. Let me staple you together. Ooh, you think we can? What do you think? Can we make it? I don't usually get much past 120, so maybe we'll have to do a battery change. How many more do we have today? 3, 4. So we're going to do a battery change. Yeah, okay. So now when there's
I talk to everyone.
You talk to people. Ask Tao here.
Hi Tao, how was your morning?
How was your morning? How's your backpack? Is it heavy? Ask her if her backpack is heavy.
It must be easier for you because you roll it, you don't carry it, right? Yeah.
She rolls it? Wow.
How about you, Matt? How was your morning?
Great. I ran in the Hans this morning.
Oh yeah, I saw him too. He's still dining.
What's the Hans?
Huh?
What's the Hans?
Well, I ran into him this morning.
Oh, you ran into Hans. Oh, I see. I thought there was a race named the Hans.